Alright, let's get down to it. One of the very first things that tips that we can give here is to start off with a good quality piece of meat. Don't go down to the local grocery store and buy one. Go to your butcher, buy a bone-in. Make sure he gives you a nice piece. This one here was nice and fresh, and we had him actually got to see him cut that up himself. So that's the very first advice. Start with something fresh and not from your local stores. Next up is going to be 2 tablespoons of mustard. I'm going to rub this all over the pork butt here. And this is I know this is a dry rub. I actually probably forgot to mention that this is going to be our dry rub, but this mustard here, you won't taste it after it's all over with. This really, though, it doesn't really add even a mild twang from what we've experienced, but it does severely help the rub to stick on, the dry rub. So get this all massaged into it. This is an 8-pound pork butt, by the way. Okay, now that the mustard is all over the pork butt, set that to the side, and I'll go ahead and go over the spices with you. That is 2 tablespoons of black pepper. That is 1.5 tablespoons of paprika. That is 1/2 tablespoon of the cayenne powder. That is 2 tablespoons of the garlic powder. 2 tablespoons of onion powder. 2 tablespoons of sea salt. That is 1 tablespoon of seasoned salt. And that is 2 tablespoons of the granulated sugar. We're going to go ahead and get that in a bowl now and get it mixing up. With our spices all mixed up, let's go ahead and get a little of this on here, and we want to massage this in on every single angle of this pork butt, which is why it's really good to have a little turkey pan here. Alright, while we have that in the refrigerator, we might as well go ahead and make the mop, because even though we're not going to put this on for like 1.5 hours to 2 hours after it's been cooking, might as well get it out of the way. This is 1 cup of lard. You'll have to heat that to get it down to its liquid state. That's 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. That is 1.5 tablespoons of black pepper, 1 tablespoon of paprika, 1 tablespoon of the cayenne red pepper, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder. That's 2 tablespoons of the sea salt, 1 tablespoon of the seasoned salt, and this is going to be 1 cup of water. So we're going to get all of this mixed in here. First thing we're going to do after mixing this all together here is get it over on the stove, and we're going to get it on around medium to start with, and that's just to get all this stuff kind of melted in. And then we're going to turn it down after we're satisfied, you know, with how it's looking. We're going to turn it down to around low and just keep it on the stove the entire time. Just on low. That way when we need it for a mop, everything's still all together and it's ready to go, and it's the lard's still melted, and it'll work out fine. You surely don't want to refrigerate it. If anything, if you don't want to keep it on the stove, just keep it on at room temperature. Okay, that's been on for about 6 to 7 minutes on medium, which is the 5 setting on this oven. That's about the look we're going for, so that's going to be turned down to low and be just kept in that state. And like I said, we're going to end up mopping this on the pork butts in about 2 hours after they've been cooking. So next time we get back, we'll be putting them on. Alright, this is a, let's see, 18-pound bag of charcoal, and since we're doing 2 on here at the same time, it may take both of these bags, or at least 1.5. You can pour this right in the center and move the coals over later, or you can just put it on one side. I'm just going to do one side and only do about half of the bag, because I'll have to add more as it goes. Get all these up close as together as you can, and go ahead and we'll get this lit up. Okay, that baby has died down enough where the charcoal's whited out. Time for our drip pan. This is going to be going underneath there, and we're going to be adding about 1 cup of water. and it keeps the a lot of things from happening. Really, it keeps the pork butt from flaring up, and it keeps the water inside the pan here when it's not, just for the moisture. I'm using the big drip pan because we are going to be cooking 2. And you probably want to use just some old pan that's laying around somewhere. Hopefully you keep something just for that, because it does get mighty warped with all the heat. Alright, I'm going to get a little water in that though and put on the pork butts. There it goes in our water. And this 1 cup, believe me, it don't last long, but you don't really have to keep water in it so much. I'll let it die out, and it'll die out way before an hour is over usually. But see, the pork butt constantly keeps dripping down in here. So that adds its own little moisture, you know, it'll keep it moistured up in that way. So I only really add water about maybe once every 2 hours or so. Anyway, time for the pork butts. We are back here. It is go time on this. I'm going to put the fat side down first. That will get the dripping started. And here is where you get your positioning. Let me move this out of the way to show how close or how far away. See if it'll show. And yeah, how close or how far away this is to the coals. Right there, it might have been a funny angle. Get the tripod set back right. Right there, you can tell there about how far away that is. But it is time to go ahead and close the grill top. Alright, time to close it up. And we will be rotating them around. I'm going to give it a check in about 45 minutes. Keep that open, keep the grill open, the lid just enough there so that it can breathe. You don't want it to go out. Alright, it has been about 20 minutes, maybe a little less. It's just barely smoking. I haven't got them really close to the coals, as you can see. It is time to add some hickory to it here. We're going to put the some wet hickory right on top of the coals. And they're little enough pieces there, they've been soaking in water, we can just slip them right down through the grate. And that's where you're going to get your smoke from to start smoking these babies. And when I add them, I'm also going to move them a little bit closer to the coals. If you have a thermometer, you can stick it in here. You want to keep it around 230 degrees. But you don't need one. You can just tell by the sound and what it's doing. Alright, it has been about another 20 minutes or so, I imagine. We have got our little wood chips here. They've been soaking for at least that long. Let's go ahead and put some of these in. Get our smoke going. And like I said, though, I'll move those a little bit closer. Alright, we got our smoke. And like I said, I'm going to move these a little bit closer. Let's see how hot they are. Not bad at all. Don't need anything to touch them with yet. We'll move them just a little closer, and we'll adjust our grill lid so it'll stay up just a bit more, and we'll let them babies smoke for a while. And we got the rest of our chips, so when them run out, we will just keep on putting them on. So I'll check this again in about 30 minutes. Alright, we're right around our 2 hour or so mark. Maybe been a little bit longer, not too sure. Figure out how to raise this camera up. It is time now to go ahead and turn these around and go ahead and mop on stuff. It was handy to have these all, have that mop on all made up and ready to roll. We'll go ahead and get the tops actually before we flip them over. That will be the quickest and easiest. Just slop it on really good on both of them. And every side you can reach while you're at it. Alright, they're all mopped up. Time to close her back up, and got her positioned fairly decent, so we can give that more time. Still not going to close it all the way. We want to keep the wood smoking. Okay, we are back and we are ready to re-mop it. And I even brought the thermometer before we mop it just to give a little indication. Now, I don't know if I had mentioned, but we are going for 195 internal temperature before we pull this off. I'll take this off and show you where we're at so far. You can see that is, wait a minute, you can't see. You can see that is not even making it up to 140 yet. So that's not even reached a safe temperature to turn it off and store it and go to bed kind of thing. But what we're going to do is continue to cook, and after we mop it, of course. Let's see what the other one is, just for the fun of it. Yeah, really hate to keep opening the lid like this, but you know, educational video purposes. That one's right at 140. Got a ways to go to reach its 195, huh? Okay, I'm gonna get this slightly closed up while I remount the camcorder, and then we will go ahead and mop it. Same thing as last time, we're going to mop as much as we can, all the sides that we can, and then turn them over so I can get to the bottom. And it's a good time to flip anyway, huh? Alright, these are finally done. They had reached 190. We're going to go ahead and bring these in now, and we're going to wrap them up in aluminum foil, and they will set for about 20 minutes, and they will continue to raise in temperature, and they'll continue to cook a little bit longer. And the very last stages here, I almost forgot to mention, I put them directly over the coals, and I char the bottoms and tops just a little bit. That's something we do. You haven't got to do that, but I believe it makes for a better taste, just a little bit. And that will wrap it up.